Thank you. I've just got one final question that maybe the audience has some questions before I ask each panel member to wrap up. Paul, why don't we see industry consolidation? Why don't we see miners working alongside cutters in a more general sense? Because then they have guarantee of production, and I know they're very different businesses, and I know people have been talking about all the way back to Des Kilalaire from the Royal Bank of Canada 20, 30 years ago, there will be industry consolidation, but we haven't seen any. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think we saw a lot of consolidation in the midstream, which is interesting. So that's just that one segment that went from thousands of small family-run businesses. Now there's a much larger percentage of large corporate manufacturers that have 5,000, 10,000 employees. So that is the area where I think we have seen the consolidation. Obviously, we saw it downstream. LVMH bought Tiffany. I mean, there's been pretty notable downstream consolidation, but on the same, but the independent drillers in places like America still represent a very large percent of diamond jewelry sales. I mean, probably over 50%. So it's kind of interesting. So I think there has been consolidation, but it was such a fragmented industry to start with, especially midstream and downstream, that it may not feel super noticeable. Upstream, it's interesting. I mean, there's just so few players left, and I think I think like we were talking about juniors. I think juniors played a role. They would kind of make the discovery, and the majors would take it from there. And I think that model worked for a reason. I think that was probably the most efficient way for the upstream to work. Given that, again, there's just such a lack of financing available at this point. There aren't that many juniors, and then the majors maybe aren't focusing as much on exploration. So you get to the point where I think a lot of the consolidation upstream used to be a major buying a junior. I mean, De Beers bought Peregrine Diamonds. They're developing the Tiddlyack deposit in Nunavut, Canada. So that's kind of an example, but I think it just kind of gets back to what you're saying before. There's just the activity is so light upstream at this point. I think that there just really isn't a whole lot to consolidate at this point.